Good morning to you to 7 a.m. Thursday, August 21st, 2025. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Hurricane Aaron is churning up dangerous rip currents along the East Coast. We go live here to Jenkinson's in Point Pleasant, for a look at how the water is churning things up at the sand. It's really rough right now, as you can see. That is not a pleasant thing if you are a beachgoer. Of course, it's going to be an ugly day nonetheless. You're not going to want to be at the beach, but if you're a surfer, you look at that and you kind of salivate. You have to stay away. That is very dangerous. South of Point Pleasant, the currents are prompting swimming bans in Wildwood. The storm, not making landfall, thank God, is driving 8 to 12-foot waves nonetheless, and very strong swells, creating treacherous conditions. In Avalon, northeasterly winds close the road to Townsend's Inlet Bridge. Atlantic City is facing beach erosion and minor flooding concerns, and officials are urging beachgoers, anyone who would go there for any reason, even for a morning walk, just stay out of the water for safety. Weather time for us, we're going to have a little light rain this morning, then cloudy today, highs mid-70s. Fortunately, not a beach day. We head to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a first check of today's Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken, and very windy too. You feel that wind outside, especially if you're along the coast today. Gusts upwards of 40, 45 miles per hour. With some of those light rains coming down, like you said, not a great beach day, even to take a stroll on the boardwalk with those gusty winds and light showers. And these are some of the outer bands of Erin just offshore, as those rain bands should stay there. I think most of the shower activity will be light enough today that it starts to dissipate once we get to the afternoon, and the winds currently from the east begin to switch direction and blow from the north and east. Well, that's creating all of the flooding hazards with the coastal flood warning right through Saturday now at the shore points. Those are the dark areas shaded in green right at the coast, for the potential for above normally dry ground flooding. That's storm surge that would happen around high tide. That's just the water levels coming in because of that persistent easterly breeze over the tide cycles. Temperatures right now in the upper 50s in northern New Jersey, low 70s right now at the coast. That's just due to all of the wind coming off of the water. So the water temperature will basically match that of the air temperature over the next day or so. And even with the dew point, still dry up to the north because you have that easterly breeze coming in from Connecticut, and then of course that wind off of the water. So there are the clouds that are starting to dissipate, the high clouds at least. Some of the big cloud deck from Erin are just offshore. And notice the winds right now, 40-mile-per-hour gusts today right at the coast, upwards of 35 miles per hour at the other beaches, and even 30 miles per hour in Atlantic City. And this will be persistent right through this afternoon into this evening until later tonight and early tomorrow morning. We'll see those winds relax as Erin ultimately pulls away. Those winds come in from the north and then eventually northwest, and that will help dry us out going into tomorrow, especially into the early part of Friday, where we turn nice and dry. So plan on the clouds and showers today. Not a whole lot of sun, if any. It'll be another gray day here across New Jersey. With the clearing that happens tomorrow, a beautiful start to the day, less windy, but we'll still see the wave impacts as temperatures warm into the upper 70s, near 80 at the coast. It'll be looking like a better day to head out toward the beaches, but I doubtful you'll still be allowed to go into the water because of those rip currents and, of course, the rough surf that'll be present right throughout the day tomorrow, potentially even into Saturday. And then we have Sunday's weather, which could bring back some clouds as temperatures climb back into the upper 60s with maybe a sprinkle later on in the afternoon. But overall, looking pretty good to start off this weekend and head into the weekend forecast, especially with the storm center. They're just off the Carolinas, but quickly taking that right turn out to sea as it maintains its category 2 strength all the way out into the Atlantic. So still churning up our oceans for at least the next day or so. Temperatures warm back into the upper 80s for tomorrow and Saturday. I think we'll see some clouds return, maybe an afternoon shower by Sunday, and then next week looking much better for some outdoor activities, especially along the water, as the waves will have calmed down by then. We'll talk more about Erin's waves and the impacts coming up, Ken, with another check of your forecast in a few minutes.
I hope, Mike. I know a lot of people who are actually taking Wednesday to Monday off. I have several friends doing that
Oh,
this year,
okay.
so it's going to be interesting. So they're leaving like from work Tuesday night, and they're taking this way they get a week. And that's
Yeah,
smart
right.
because everybody does the Friday afternoon. No, no, you do. Everyone's doing that. You're going to hit traffic, so it just makes sense. And hopefully they'll have a nice week.
I
Excuse me,
think
I'm
they will.
about to cough.
It's looking good. Yeah,
Thank you. You know when you have that,
you bet.
you feel like you're about to go into a coughing fit. Excuse me. Pardon me. My Pomeranian
Is it the
coffee mug.
Pomeranian mug? Ah, there it
Of
is.
course it is. Of course it is. Unfortunately, I don't have any with me today, but I had three, and they're all they that's what they gave me for Christmas.
That's awesome.
All right, Mike, we'll check back, buddy. Thank you. It is 58 degrees, so it's damp, chilly, cold, fall, dark. Not a great morning, but in terms of traffic, we do have that already. Take a look at I-80 at Fox Hill Road right now. This is in Parsippany Troy Hills. It's just volume. A little while ago, actually, that was, you see the brake lights as people go around that bend, they hit the brakes just instinctively, and that is also, of course, in the wet weather. You don't want to go too fast, but this is what's happening. A lot of the area roadways are exactly like that, and volume is going to continue to build through the morning, so just beware of that. We have delays now on 139 Lower Roadway eastbound from Tunnelly Avenue to Jersey Avenue, Jersey City. All lanes are open, but again, volume and weather causing things to slow down, and delays on the GSP southbound exiting at 130 BA, which is US 1 in Woodbridge. Again, that's about a mile delay there, all due to volume. We just got a report pop up right now of a debris spill on the Garden State Parkway northbound exiting at 100B, which is Route 66 east in Tinton Falls. All lanes open, but people are now swerving to get around that, so be careful about that. The Hudson River crossings as you go over or through, I should say, the Holland Tunnel is only a 10-minute crossover time. Lincoln is about 15. Let's look at the 8095 approach. Heavy. This happens on rainy days. Going over the GWB. Excuse me, Pam. You might want to kill the mic a sec. Little something, something in the throat. Little frog this morning. But this is typical in rainy weather, what happens going over the GWB. It is 7:07 right now, and Democratic gubernatorial candidate Mikey Sherrill announced her day one state of emergency on utility costs proposal. This happened in Kenilworth. On New Jersey's Izzy Conklin tells us what the candidate is planning to bring down energy costs.
Our utility bills have gone up by 20% this summer. New Jerseyans are hurting, and I hear it from families all across the state.
Democratic gubernatorial candidate Mikey Sherrill announced her plan for energy affordability in New Jersey.
So on day one, I'm going to declare a state of emergency on utility costs. What that means for New Jerseyans and how I'm going to lower costs immediately is freezing utility rates on day one. When I take office, the average New Jersey family won't see an increase in utility rates for an entire year. I'll massively expand cheaper, cleaner power generation and building an energy arsenal in our state. We're going to cut through red tape and eliminate permitting delays to get that done right now. It means immediately breaking new ground on solar and battery storage projects, expanding capacity at our existing nuclear power plants, and streamlining the modernization of existing natural gas plants to make them cleaner and more efficient. I'll demand a new level of transparency from our utility companies, JCP&L, PSE&G, Atlantic City Electric, and Rockland Electric, to prevent collusion and price gouging. And I'll instruct my Attorney General to take on our grid operator, PJM, and Donald Trump to court to force them to end their mismanagement and get new power added to the grid.
She spoke in Kenilworth in front of the home of Herb and Mary Mitchitts. The couple has lived in the same house for over 50 years. They live on a fixed income and say, like many other New Jersey residents, the cost of utilities is too high.
Everybody has seen costs rise. Utility bills are going up, taxes are going up, groceries are going up. But most of all, I think the utilities are really putting a dent in our budget. Mikey knows what we all know. Utility costs are out of control. My family and others can't wait until changes occur. New Jersey's our home. I retired here, Mary's retired, and we love this state. Mikey will sure help make New Jersey as affordable for my family and for others in this state.
IBEW Local 164 and Mayor of Park Ridge, Keith Mishagna, said his town is expecting a 30% increase in transmission costs.
Both my members of my union and my residents, they're in crisis now. Wages are not staying up with this problem. This new arsenal in our state will bring down bills and help working families make ends meet. More power generation means more good paying union jobs as well, and more families with a pathway to the middle class.
So we have an energy crisis on our hands. In times of crisis, I learned in the Navy, you have to lead, follow, or get out of the way. I'm going to lead. Jack is going to follow whatever Trump tells him to do, even if that means higher costs for New Jersey families. He's going to run away and let Jack call the shots. So we have no time to waste, and on day one, I'm going to get right to work.
For On New Jersey, I'm Izzy Conklin.
Okay. I have one question. Who the hell caused the friggin' energy crisis in New Jersey? Who? Democrats have been in charge of the state assembly and the state senate for like a zillion years. Okay. Democrats have the state Supreme Court 10 out of 12 seats, and Democrats have had the gubernatorial seat now for 8 years. And you have every major city, mayors are Democrats. The Democrats are the ones who voted to shut down 6 power plants, which is why your energy costs, Mr. Midget, and I mean no disrespect, sir. This is why your power bills have gone up 20% last year, 20% this year. It's because you're the Democrats you keep voting for because you don't even want to expend, you don't even want to open a paper or watch On New Jersey to realize it's the very people you freaking keep voting for. Why do you think Mikey Sherrill is going to be any different from the last 2,700 Democrats? It's like if you keep doing this and get a black and blue on your hand, you keep doing, well, next time I hit my damn hand, I'm not going to get a black. Why would you think that? That's the definition of insanity. You're driving me nuts. The Democrats are who causes, they voted to close down power plants, which drove up the cost of energy. I want a case in point. Every state, 10 states around, they don't have the power expenses that we have. Duh. Why? Do you think it's just endemic to New Jersey? Go down to Florida. Power's 30-40% the cost that it is here. And it's a bigger state with a higher population and more energy demands because of the heat. Yet they have my monthly bill for 1,400 square foot condos like $90. And I have the AC going constantly and 2 refrigerators and an electric stove. Come on. Wake the hell up. I have no opinion, though. 7:12 right now. President Trump says that he will sign an executive order to end mail-in ballots, claiming it undermines election integrity. GOP gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli is countering Trump. Would be nice if he came on this show to do it. Urging Republicans to trust the state's secure mail-in system. At a 2024 TNEC event, Ciattarelli defended the process. That's why his former opponents on the Republican side said he's an anti-Trumper. Ciattarelli defended the process, advocating for stronger ID checks, but still wishy-washy, right in the middle. Still encouraging voters use those mail-in ballots confidently. About 800,000 New Jerseyans voted by mail in 2024, most of them Democrat, by the way, a key method that Governor Murphy's office calls reliable. In Hanover, nearly 24 adults and teens are facing charges for graffiti causing $500,000 in damage to buildings, businesses, and public property, which, by the way, a lot of liberals call art. 2 juveniles using tags Gmail and Skate are linked to 300,000 of that 500,000 in destruction, while teens tagged Bandit and Wanky face charges for 98,000 in damages. Most charges involve criminal mischief and trespassing, with 1 adult from Sarasota, Florida. In Toms River, an ordinance now bans homeless individuals from sleeping in the Horner Street public parking garage near the library. Violators face a 24-hour warning followed by a possible arrest, up to 90 days in jail or a $2,000 fine. The measure passed 4-2. It's drawn criticism, with Councilman James Quinlisk, calling it cruel, suggesting community service instead. Or how about you enforce the laws? You do this to 1 person, Councilman, and you will not have anybody homeless there. But this is for public use, not for a couple of people to camp out on. All right? That's the problem, Councilman. Mayor Dan Roderick claims nonprofits are using the homeless as political pawns. They tend to do that because it keeps the nonprofits in business. Advocates argue the ordinance harms those already struggling. No. When I was growing up, people who had trouble and they were struggling, they went to charities and they got help. They didn't camp out on a street and do drugs, which is what most of them do, folks. 7:14, in response to SEPTA's impending service cuts, Governor Murphy announced new transit options for South Jersey commuters. On Wednesday, he unveiled plans to expand Camden's electric bus fleet by 8 buses, launch an express shuttle between Vineland and Atlantic City with 2 daily round trips, and invest $5 million in microtransit to connect residents to jobs, schools, and healthcare. These initiatives aim at modernizing public transportation, boosting the regional economy, and promoting sustainability, with ONNJ Transit targeting a fully modernized fleet by 2031. In entertainment news, Happy Gilmore 2 made history in New Jersey, spending a record-breaking $152.5 million in 64 days of filming. The Adam Sandler sequel, nice guy, by the way, very nice guy, now streaming on Netflix, utilized the state's film and digital media tax credit program. See, tax incentives do work, liberals. You see, how come it's only okay when a Democrat administration does it? When a Republican administration does it, they say tax breaks for the rich, because that's what this is. But it averaged $2.3 million in breaks a day, or in income a day, I should say, for the state. Filmed across 31 municipalities and 9 counties, the production showcased New Jersey's diverse locations, from golf courses to suburban homes. The project boosted the local economies, spending $1.2 million on lodging and $6.4 million on extras, solidifying New Jersey's growing role as a filmmaking hub. It is 59 degrees right now, 7:16, and when we come back, New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein will have the latest on New Jersey's political scene with the Inside Edge. Light rain this morning, then cloudy today. Highs mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with the full Garden State forecast. And we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Let me know if you don't agree. Let me know if you do agree. You're watching ONNJ Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. And welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings for your Thursday. I'm Ken Rosato, 717, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Light rain this morning, cloudy today, highs mid-70s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. And Mike, it's nice that Mother Nature cooperated when we have Hurricane Erin hundreds of miles offshore. We don't want those waves causing any damage to our swimmers. So it's nice that she's saying, you know what, kids, stay off the beach today.
Yeah, a little bit of rain and cloud cover certainly helping. It was kind of interesting to see all of the wet weather we had yesterday. Can you remember the last time we had just a rainy day? It's been a while.
No.
It's been a
Yep.
while, yeah. And so yesterday was certainly one to think about, considering how rough it was at the beaches, keeping people away. With the beach erosion that's likely occurring down at the shore points, with the coastal flood warning all up and down the coast, right from Sandy Hook to Cape May, consider that there will be some flooding concerns, especially as that persistent easterly winds keep pushing on those tidal waters even after high tide passes. So there's some light rain coming in right now, working its way through from parts of Monmouth and Ocean County. And I think most of the day this will linger throughout this afternoon. There could be a little bit of more wet weather developing, especially through this afternoon, with the clouds around and temperatures holding in the mid-60s. It was also chilly yesterday, especially by the afternoon, with highs reaching the low 70s, and then temperatures just dropped off yesterday. Similar event happening today, especially with a northeasterly breeze and the visibility quite low, down to 2 miles in Toms River, even 2 miles in Morristown, and 3 miles in Newark. So with some of that rain moving in right now we're starting to see the influence of the rain from Erin, because the rain coming in from the east, and there are those cloud bands of Erin working their way offshore. Unlikely we'll see much more in the way of rainfall today, because again, this whole system pivots pretty quickly to the east, bringing the clouds with it. We'll keep the gray skies around today, but quickly clear tomorrow as the wind switches direction. So that'll keep us drier by tomorrow afternoon, and that wind blows in from the north, making places like Sussex County pretty chilly in the morning, with the dew point down in the 40s. Even drier weather developing at the coast, thanks to that northerly breeze, making for a dry start to the weekend and a pretty pleasant finish. I think the clouds on Sunday may be giving way to a passing sprinkle, ultimately clear out, giving way to lots of sunshine for Monday, maybe another passing cloud on Tuesday, but pretty dry for most of next week. We'll take that going into the start of Labor Day weekend on a very pleasant note. Will it stay dry all weekend? We'll have to see. But I think at least in terms of the storm track, takes it quickly out to sea, and then we're nice and dry for the start of this weekend. So speaking of, we're nice and pleasant with sunshine on Saturday, 87 degrees, likely some clouds return by Sunday. So the first half of this weekend, beautiful, even as soon as tomorrow. Nice and sunny. We keep that sunshine around Saturday, but clouds are back in the picture with maybe a sprinkle for Sunday. We'll talk more about next week's forecast with the 7-day weather, Ken. It's coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much, sir. Just dank, dank. The word was
Yes.
created for today. Dank. Love it. Dankeschön. All right, sir. We'll check back just a little bit. It is 60 dank degrees now at 7:20, and we take a look at traffic, and we do have a lot of it. At the very least, even if it's moving, it's going slowly everywhere, and that's a good thing. People are taking it easy. I know Pam, our director, couldn't stand it because everybody in front of her acted like they've never driven in rain in their lives as she was trying to get into work today. And they were all going 5 in a 50, but it is what it is. At least that prevents accidents. We take a look at the Garden State Parkway right now. Pam is saying, grrr, grrr. All right, this is the Garden State Parkway right now. All we have on the GSP to talk about is just a little bit of volume. You can see as people are going slowly. In fact, let's see. What I just had for the Garden State just disappeared, Pam. So you're going to have to remind me which camera this is. This is by, oh, you know what? I don't even have it. So, but you could see it's, what is it again? 133. Okay, so exit 133 area of the Garden State Parkway. You can see there's no accident there. Things are moving. It's just a little bit of volume, and things are going kind of slowly because of the rain. You can see the wet camera. We had that a second ago, and apparently the folks at 511 took it off, meaning there was whatever it was causing incidents is gone, and that's a very good thing. Let's take a look at the New Jersey Turnpike right now. We have some delays, a bunch of delays, actually. We have delays on the Turnpike Eastern Spur northbound from the Southern Mixing Bowl. Let's take a look at that. That is where the split of the roadways express and local occurs, and that's very heavy right now. That's a combination of volume and weather causing this. But this is in Newark going north to interchange 15W I-280. Even the camera's blurry. Camera saying, give up. Go home, everybody. So both of those, you can see the Pulaski Skyway in the background. Both of those roadways, they merge up ahead. That's I-78 area, Newark Airport. So that's just a mess. They're saying that's a 3.5-mile delay all the way to 280. So when you come down 280 to mix in to that area by 78, that's what you're going to encounter. So just beware of that. Give yourselves about 30 minutes. I would say 30 minutes extra travel time if you're headed to the airport, just to be sure. Your approaches to the Hudson River right now, Holland Tunnel, not so bad. It's about 10 to 15 minutes across. The Lincoln's 15 to 20. And the upper and lower levels of the GWB starting to build a little bit. You'll see the 80-95 approach kind of slow, especially the upper levels. See where the trucks are on the right. That's about 25 to 30 going in. It's 20 minutes right now on the lower level on the left-hand side. It is 7:23. The Democrat Party hemorrhaging voters long before they even go to the polls. Get this. Of the 30 states that actually track voter registration by political party, Democrats have lost ground to Republicans in every single one, including here in New Jersey, between the 2020 and 2024 elections, and often by a lot. Now, New Jersey has seen almost 1 million increased Republican registrations. Look at this. This is an idea. This is the number of states right there you see on your screen where Democrat registration has gone down, where people literally who were Democrats have now either gone independent or Republican, or just, like I said, independent, where they just said, I'm no longer a part of the party. And look at all the states where the Republican Party has grown. Isn't that, when you go side by side, that's insane. That tells you a lot. And what I think that is a lot of traditional Democrats, because their mothers, fathers, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, sons, daughters were Democrats. So that's why I vote Democrat. I think those people woke up and they said enough. How many people, when you have Bill Maher sounding like he's a pro-Trump guy, I mean, literally with each day, he sounds more and more like he's a conservative. I never thought except for the fact that he likes to smoke pot, but that's more of a libertarian thing than anything else. He does not sound like a Democrat. He is more like what the traditional liberal was 50 years ago. And Bill Maher, I got to give him credit for staying, he is not hypocritical on his views. And he calls an ace and a spade a spade. So take a look. This is what we have right now, but it can't just die out there. So it's a 4-year swing toward Republicans, adding up to nearly 5 million voters nationwide, a deep political hole that could take years for Democrats to climb out from. I remember during the Reagan era when Republicans out-edged Democrats, but by a hair, and like 2 years later, it was back to majority Democrat. So we have to really stay on the gas, if you will. So at the same time, a majority of self-proclaimed independents who, when asked where they stand on key issues, leaning right. So even though the majority, when you look at the three, the independents, right or left, the independents are leaning right. So this could be another landslide for Republicans come midterm, like we had years ago when we saw under Bush and we saw it under Reagan. The stampede away from the Democrat Party is occurring in battleground states, the bluest states and the reddest states, too, according to a new analysis of voter registration data. New York Times put this out, by the way, not some right-wing group. The analysis used voter registration data compiled by a group called L2, which is a nonpartisan data firm, and all told Democrats themselves lost 2.1 million registered voters between the 2020 and 2024 elections in the 30 states. Along with DC, Republicans gained 2.5 million in that same time. Unreal. It's now time for Politics from Trenton, explained like no one else can do it. Here's New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with the Inside Edge.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Inside Edge. It's Thursday, August 21st. Earlier this month, a federal judge struck down a California state law that would have prohibited websites from hosting deceptive AI-generated content related to campaigns and elections, at least for a little while before the voting starts. Elon Musk challenged that law. He claimed that the ban on computer generated parodies infringed upon First Amendment rights. And the same judge suggested he's preparing to strike down another law in California that would mandate a disclaimer on digitally altered campaign ads. Proponents of the law argued that without legal protection, voters would be left defenseless against hyper-realistic misinformation driven by AI. The judge indicated that you can't save democracy by breaking it. So that raises an interesting question. Should the First Amendment bend simply because technology is evolving faster than the legislature can act? Here's the danger. AI-generated campaign content is no longer about clumsy, grainy deep fakes. It's photorealistic, it's voice synced, it's weaponized persuasion. And so imagine a fake video of a gubernatorial candidate making a racist remark dropped 48 hours before election day, shared by millions before fact checkers can breathe, or a robocall that perfectly mimics a trusted voice telling people to vote on Wednesday, and then half of them believe it. If California's laws are falling, New Jersey's not even beyond the starting gate. There's no framework. There's no disclosure requirements. There's no guardrails, and the tools are moving faster than the law, faster than ethics, faster than voter instincts. Because once you let the genie out, you can't regulate the bottle. You're just chasing ghosts at a broadband speed. And here's one more thing for you legislators out there that are listening today. In July, Amazon acquired a startup company called Bee, which markets an always-on $50 Fitbit-like bracelet that listens to all of your conversations or those of the people that are around you and uses AI to generate a transcript of your day. B suggests that it sidesteps legal limitations to surreptitiously record conversations by framing it as a personal AI memory tool rather than a recorder. I mean, what could go wrong with that? That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back tomorrow.
Looking forward to it, David, as always, my friend. Thank you. 729. The phone lines are open. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234. Light rain this morning, cloudy today, highs mid-70s. The full Garden State forecast with meteorologist Mike Favetta in just a moment. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We're seen daily at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News on Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And now we're streamed live on Substack, Rumble, and Twitch at twitch.tv/OnNewJersey. Much more on what Aaron is doing to our coastline with some live pictures when we come back.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
Very good Thursday morning. It is 7:30 right now, 62 degrees. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Hurricane Aaron is churning up dangerous rip currents along the East Coast. Take a live look now at Jenkinson's and Point Pleasant, where the water is really rough, chewing up that sand right there. We're going to need some Army Corps of Engineer love when all is said and done. And I know that Pam, our director, is going to take a look here. We got some video in from Ortley Beach. We're going to show you in a moment, and it is also quite ugly. There, thank you, Pam, for that. That was a quick switch. That is rough, and you could see normally for those of you who know Ortley Beach, and I've been there many times, where that fence is usually a deep swath to the ocean. And look at the water coming up right to that little fence there. That is quite a lot of water. That just gives you an idea. They were saying our meteorologist Mike Favetta was saying 8 to 12 foot swells. That is not unlike what we're seeing right there in Ortley Beach. So this is going to be the case certainly through today. South of Point Pleasant, by the way, the currents are prompting swimming bans in Wildwood. The storm is not making landfall, thankfully, but again, 8 to 12 foot waves and strong swells, that's dangerous. You want to stay out of the water. In Avalon, by the way, northeasterly winds closing the road to Townsend's Inlet Bridge. Atlantic City faces beach erosion, minor flooding concerns there, and officials are urging beachgoers to stay out of the water for safety. Coming up in less than half an hour, we're going to be speaking to the emergency management coordinator from Asbury Park to see how the conditions are there. But very windy, treacherous. You want to stay away from the beach if you can. Certainly stay out of the water. It is weather time now. Light rain this morning for us if you're anywhere inland from the coast, and cloudy today, highs in the mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the detailed Garden State forecast for us. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. That is an angry-looking sea, but good to see there is nobody out there on the water. Just like we've been saying, too dangerous to even look at it from afar. With all of the gusty winds and, of course, the waves coming up on shore, you see the satellite now as the sunrise is showing those outer bands impacting the coast, but it's the winds that will be hammering the coastline today, in addition to the waves. Very little in the way of rainfall, maybe just a half inch or so, as that easterly breeze pushes some light showers on shore, but not the day to be out by the water, especially with the temperatures holding in the low 70s, far below average. And with the sun rising now, just beyond 6:13, you have a look at the high cloud deck. These are the outer bands that are working their way to the east, as of course the rip current risk remains high today, that shade of red up and down the coast. So here's a look of the satellite. The storm now starting to pick up more of a forward speed and momentum as it pulls away. So as it does so, that gives us an improvement to the conditions quickly. By tomorrow morning, we'll be back to sunshine early on in the day and keep that sun around throughout the afternoon. Even as the storm goes by very quickly, we'll enjoy that clearing with the high pressure building in, allowing for lots of sunshine to take over tomorrow and a dry northerly breeze. It's that dry weather that sticks around for the first half of the weekend, leading to a very pretty day tomorrow. Temperatures climbing back into the upper 80s on Saturday, and then some clouds by Sunday, maybe a passing sprinkle with some clouds lingering into Monday. But Tuesday and Wednesday of next week turns beautiful yet again, and we'll be back to calm seas by that point. So you can head out to the beaches and enjoy just in time for a few days before the Labor Day holiday weekend. So again, this weekend down at the shore, a little bit cooler overnight, climbing into the low 80s, and then with that little bit of a rain chance for Sunday into Monday, we're back to sunshine by Tuesday and Wednesday. So those planning on the shortened work week next week, heading down the shore, getting away a little bit earlier, it looks to be the right move, given how Tuesday and Wednesday will start off a very pleasant stretch of weather into next weekend.
Mike, can I just say this that and I mean this not blowing smoke from the bottom of my heart. When you say we're going to have a stretch, we have a stretch. When you say ugly for 2 days, we have it's uncanny how accurate your forecasts are. And again,
Oh,
not
thank
saying
you.
that. Listen, I've sat in seats like this for 40 years. And I'm just so proud to work with you and how accurate your forecasts
Okay,
are.
Ken,
It's just
you want my theory
amazing.
on this? Because I get this all the time, in like the lines when I'm waiting to check out for groceries or just seeing people on the street and they ask what I do. And you get the line, oh, it must be nice to be wrong and still have a job. Not necessarily.
Eh,
Because say those at that work for teams at the big networks and channels, right? They go away on the weekend, and if the forecast blows, meh, oh well, they're in their garden in their backyard at home, they're at the beach, nobody. Meanwhile, as a small business owner, when the client says you were
mhm,
wrong, guess whose shoulders it falls on? Uh-huh. And if they don't like
you
it,
got
they'll
it.
not only let you know, they won't renew the contract, then you may not get paid. So I think there's a little bit more of a responsibility factor of if I don't
I
get it
think
right,
you're right.
well,
I think
we
you're
don't
right.
need
And
to
by the
spend
way,
money.
just so people realize at the excuse me, I feel the allergies kicking in. At
Yes.
all the network owned stations in New York,
Mm,
when you see there is a difference between a weather forecaster and meteorologist. A lot of people think you're all the same. Weathermen,
mm,
you're not a weatherman. You're a certified meteorologist. And
yeah,
at the channels, some, I won't say their names because they're friends of ours, some are weather forecasters, not meteorologists.
sure.
And what they do is they
Yeah.
take now, that doesn't mean they don't know what they're talking about. A lot of them do. They're
No.
pretty darn good because they've been doing it a lot of
Right.
years. But
Yeah.
most of them are reading or taking a look at what the actual forecasters like you write and they
Mm,
translate it, you know. But there is a difference. The guy that you and I both worked with used to get on the phone and fight with the weather service that was paid for by that channel. They
I
used to
remember.
curse at 4 a.m., remember?
I
Because he didn't
remember
agree
well.
with what they were saying. And he was almost always right because he
Hmm.
had the experience and he is a certified meteorologist, not to
Yeah.
your level of intellect, but certainly he knew what he was talking about. But anyway, we can go
Sure.
on for hours about it. Mike, but bottom line, I'm trying to tell everybody, if Mike is saying you're going to enjoy the weather next week, you can enjoy the weather next week. So count on it. Mike, thank you, sir. We'll
You
check
bet.
back in a little bit. You could send me a check, by the way. I mean, no, it's the truth. Love him like a brother. It is 7:37 right now. In terms of traffic, take a look at the 495 approach there to the Lincoln Tunnel. Very heavy at this hour, and this is caused by we have a right lane closure just past that point. See the cars there in the left middle by my name, by Ken. So you can see the brake light. So as they go around that bend there in 495, they're going into the helix. There is a breakdown and a right lane closure, and that's going to cause some delays. So not massive right now, but probably in the next half hour as volume builds, it's going to get kind of ugly. So beware of that. We have delays on the Garden State Parkway northbound from north of exit 136, which is Stiles Street, to north of 137, Cranford Township. About a mile and a half delays, all due to volume and weather. Again, raining out, wet roadways. Give yourselves probably 30% extra travel time so you don't panic and rush. We have delays on Route 3 westbound. So as you're coming out from the city into New Jersey, west of 21 to Bloomfield Ave and Clifton. All lanes are open, but again, folks going slowly. It's about a 20-mile-an-hour crawl through there at best. And delays on the GSP northbound, exiting at 145, I-280 in East Orange with about a mile delay due to volume and delays on I-280 causing that. Hudson River approaches right now. We talked about the Lincoln already. The Holland's only 10 minutes across. That's a good deal. The GWB upper and lower. Look at what's happening. The trucks are all amassing on the upper level because that's all they could take. So take a look at the upper level on the right. That is going to cost you 35 to 40 minutes. Take the lower level. It's only 20 minutes. That's the left part of your screen. But if you're approaching, it's the right lane. So stay over to the right, the local lanes, and get onto the lower level of the GWB. 7:39 is our time. And to celebrate its 25th anniversary, Tris Pharma didn't just throw a party, it threw a statewide Day of Giving, rallying employees from across New Jersey to clean parks, support animal sanctuaries, and pack backpacks for local students. On New Jersey's Lisa Marie Falbo has the story of how Tris Pharma marked 25 years, not just with celebration, but with service.
Today, Tris Pharma marked its 25th anniversary with a statewide day of giving, rallying employees from across the company to give back in the communities in which they live and serve. At Washington Rock State Park in Watchung, employees spread out to clean up garbage that's been left behind.
Community service is a part of TRIS's value set, right? We give a lot back to not only our employees and to our patients, but we also make sure that we give back to our local communities, because it really is a homegrown New Jersey organization, and we want to make sure that we give back to where we're from, which is here in New Jersey.
Each and every company has like a responsibility for all the communities, so I think it is a great thing to do something for the community to pay back them.
Serving the community doesn't just mean helping people. Other Tris employees volunteered at Popcorn Park Zoo in Forked River to help clean up its animal sanctuary.
I absolutely love it. This is my first job that has ever given back to the community. I also love the zoo. I live down the street, so I just completely adore the idea of it, and I love just giving back to the community and to animals.
It's very important to places like this to get as many visitors as possible to help donate to the volunteer effort and the work here for the unreleasable animals that they rehabilitate.
Back at Tris Pharma's home base in Monmouth Junction, another team of employees is responsible for packing backpacks with school supplies to give to children in local schools.
It's been a great way to be able to give back to the community. We don't just care about the work that we're doing day to day, but we're caring about the community, about giving back and being more than just a company.
Today was especially important. It's a great way to celebrate the whole 25th anniversary, because a lot of our products, especially on the brand side, are very pediatric focused, and it's a local charity. We're helping our local community that in turn supports us as well.
From north to south, Tris Pharma employees rolled up their sleeves to support local organizations, give back to the communities in which they serve, and celebrate a quarter century of success and innovation. For On New Jersey, I'm Lisa Marie Falbo.
Thank you, Lisa Marie, for that. By the way, Tris Pharma, look up their history. They're Monmouth Junction, New Jersey, from here, year 2000, total New Jersey proud. What a great company. If you want to be inspired, that's a company that really makes the Garden State proud. Just local, brilliant person who, the CEO, founded that company, and it's just doing gangbusters. So God bless them. 7:42 right now, Israel. Listen to this. Israel preparing to perform the world's first ever human spinal cord implant using a patient's own cells. A medical breakthrough that could allow paralyzed patients to stand and walk again. The announcement was made yesterday at Tel Aviv University. The surgery would take place in just a few months. They've already tested it on mice. Now, a lot of times things work with mice, not humans. But they think they have it now because they're going to they wouldn't by the way, they're not talking about transplanting it from another human. They're talking about taking your own cells and basically like stem cells and coaxing your cells to reproduce a chunk of spinal cord in the lab and then implant it like a seed where you have damage in your spinal cord and it would attach. Now, the question is, does it attach correctly and attach every nerve fiber correctly? But when you have stem cells sort of take on whatever cells are around them. And apparently theoretically it works. And again, it worked in mice. Mice whose spinal cords were severed were able to walk normally again in a relatively short time. If this works, you're talking miracles here. Fingers crossed. We have to see. So it's only going to be tested in a compassion situation where somebody, maybe won't be able to breathe because of where the severing is or whatever. We'll see what happens. But according to the World Health Organization, over 15 million people worldwide are living with spinal cord injuries, and currently spinal cord injuries cannot be fully cured. So the treatment focuses on stabilizing the patient so it doesn't get any worse. Spinal cord injuries are one of the few human injuries where the body cannot naturally heal itself. And this procedure begins, again, with your own blood cells. So you don't have to worry about potentially infectious organs or whatnot from another human being. And you don't have to count on, sadly, another person dying for you to have a miracle like this. It's just going to be amazing. We'll see what happens. 744, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington investigating whether city police officials falsified crime data there. Another salvo in the feud between federal and local authorities after the Trump administration seized control of law enforcement in the nation's capital. Prosecutors working for U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro opened the investigation. In taking control of the police force, the president and his allies challenged the accuracy of D.C.'s crime statistics, pointing to a police official in the city's 3rd district who had been suspended this year in the middle of an internal inquiry into whether he downplayed the seriousness of a number of serious crimes. Basically telling police officers who made a felony arrest, you know what, write it up as a misdemeanor, or a misdemeanor, don't even file a paperwork on that. It's going to be dismissed. And that's why the crime stats are near zero right now. Crime is down, crime is down. Meanwhile, people are getting mugged left and right and carjacked. And for years, if you wanted to attend a trade school instead of college, you were limited in your means to pay for. You had to basically dig in your pocket. Well, now that's all changed under President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, now One Big Beautiful Law. Federal Pell Grants will now cover trade school. So not only can teens wanting to study lesbian Swahili poetry in a liberal arts college get a grant, but for students who would prefer to learn a trade like become an electrician or a plumber, exterminator, or any other trade, construction, that'll likely net them high-paying jobs right out of school. Well, they too can get a break in the cost of their studies. The Pell Grant application process for people applying to trade school is in effect right now. And finally, the Texas legislature's lower chamber passed a new electoral map yesterday that aims at bolstering the Republican Party's thin U.S. House majority in the 2026 midterms. The vote was delayed 2 weeks after Democratic lawmakers fled the southern state to halt the redistricting drive, which carves out 5 new Republican-friendly districts. More than 50 Democrats walked out, stalling legislative business and generating national headlines as they sought to draw attention to the rare mid-decade redistricting push. Rare, but not illegal. For those people who say, this is unconstitutional, the law says we're supposed to do this every 10 years. No, the law in Texas says you're supposed to look to redraw congressional districts at least every 10 years after the census. Doesn't say only. You could do it every 6 months if you want. The plan passed along party lines 88-52. After the State House's green light, it moves to the State Senate, where it's passed in a previous session before heading to Republican Governor Greg Abbott's desk for a signature. And in response to SEPTA's impending service cuts, Governor Phil Murphy announced new transit options for South Jersey commuters. On Wednesday, he unveiled plans to expand Camden's electric bus fleet by 8 buses, launch an express shuttle between Vineland and Atlantic City with 2 daily round trips, and invest $5 million in microtransit to connect residents to jobs, schools, and healthcare. These initiatives aim at modernizing public transportation, boost the region's economy, and promote sustainability, with ONNJ Transit targeting a fully modernized fleet by 2031. Let's take a listen to the governor.
So, number one, we're going to establish a pilot. It'll be a year, but I would hope it'll be the beginning of a long-term program between Vineland's Transit Center and Atlantic City, twice daily, synced up to the casino shifts shuttle between Vineland and Atlantic City for work days. We think that'll be a big game changer. Secondly, and again, Chris Calore deserves a lot of credit, and that'll be South Jersey Transit, aided and abetted by ONNJ Transit.
Indeed. Well, let's see if that works. We keep our fingers crossed. 7:48 right now, 60 degrees, light rain this morning, cloudy today, highs mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with your full Garden State forecast. You're watching ONNJ Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. And welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:48, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Light rain this morning, cloudy later, highs mid-70s. Straight to Mike with the full Garden State forecast, Mr. Meteorologist. Sir.
Hey, Ken, good morning to you. Got a little bit of a cloudy start to the day, but eventually we'll see that sun return for tomorrow morning. With it, a drier feel. There's still a bit of a breeze in northern New Jersey with temperatures this morning starting in the upper 50s, low 60s, only climbing to the low 70s today with a healthy dose of clouds. The little bit of rain that we get probably not going to change the drought monitor all that much. This will update next time you see it in about an hour with still that 2 to 4 inch rainfall deficit across most of the state, but still keeping an eye on not only where Aaron went, but also our next potentially named system, which will likely get a name this weekend. The F storm, known as Fernand. Look at the waves now approaching even off the chart. Anytime they get to that white area, that is beyond 40 feet. So the center of the storm really generating some big waves. You can see how it's battering the coast, working its way eastward quickly. There'll still likely be some high surf throughout the day tomorrow, but improvement by Saturday. And that's some good news for those that want to get out to the beach and at least begin to enjoy a little bit of a beach weekend before summer unofficially ends. Cooler than average through the first week of September for the most of the East Coast, and slightly drier than average just off to our west, but we should be tapping into a little bit more rain as soon as Sunday. That's coming up on the 7-day forecast with the dry weather to enjoy tomorrow and Saturday, a pair of beautiful days. I think Sunday and Monday are a little cloudy, a little wet, not a rain out, but there'll likely be some wet weather around, especially Sunday afternoon. By Tuesday and Wednesday, we start off a pleasant cooler feel. Look how we dip down into 59 degrees on Wednesday morning. That'll feel very pleasant. Like fall is around the corner, and well, it technically will be by then as we enter into September, just a few days from that point. So again, the short point's a little bit cooler, beautiful by Saturday with lots of sun around and less of a rough surf at the beaches. Sunday and Monday, a little bit of wet weather, but beginning Tuesday, I think it's clear sailing into the middle of next weekend.
We'll take it. Looks like a beautiful stretch, relatively speaking, with just a little bit of rain in between. So we appreciate you, Mike. Thank you, sir. It is 59 degrees now, very dank right now because of the rain, but it is what it is. It's 7:51. Quick check of the Garden State Parkway. There is debris on the roadway just in the area of exit 98. So what we're looking at here is as folks are, you know what? This is a whole separate. There's debris. We have two different debris spills. So there's debris spills by exit 98 that just popped up. What you're looking at is by exit 136. They're about to go into a debris spill as well. So I don't know what the deal is with debris spills, but we have two that literally the second one just popped up. So this is what the 136 area that you're looking at. You see as they're hitting their brakes as they go around that bend up ahead on the right. That's where they hit the debris spill there. And the other one, like I said, is down a little south of that point, and that is by exit 98. We also have a crash on the turnpike in a roadway northbound north of interchange 9, which is Route 18 in Edison. The right shoulder is blocked. Hudson River crossings, Lincoln and Holland, both reporting 15-minute crossover times right now. We look at the GWB upper and lower level crossings. The upper level, much worse because all the trucks have to go to the upper level. You can see that's about a 30 to 35-minute crossover time there. It's only about 20 minutes at the lower on the left. If you're approaching the GWB, it's the right lanes for the local lanes to get on the lower level. 7:52 right now, and a rare and troubling case of malaria. Yeah, you heard me, malaria has been discovered right here in New Jersey in Morris County. And notably, the individual had no history of traveling internationally, raising some important public health questions. Joining us this morning to break down what this all means and how concerned we should all be is Dr. Steve Goldberg, who's the Chief Medical Officer at Health Tracks, also known as Health Track RX when you spell it out. It's the nation's leading infectious disease laboratory. We'll tell you 100 reasons why. Good morning to you first, Dr. Goldberg. Good to have you on.
And good morning to you.
And we had technical issues on our end yesterday, and I want to thank you for being so patient through this and for coming back today. We appreciate you very much, sir. We know you're busy. What do we know about this particular malaria case in Morris County? Do you have any details on it for us?
Yeah, well, someone presented with complaints of feeling ill and got evaluated, and there's evidence that they have malaria, but there was no international travel. And that's usually the source of US citizens getting malaria, about 2,000 cases a year. So it's a bit unusual. And checking this morning, there appears to be a second case in Seattle, similar story, someone feeling ill, no international travel, getting checked and appears to have malaria. 2 cases only so far in 2025, but it's not common.
Mm-hmm. And of course, what malaria is passed by mosquitoes. A mosquito would take blood from someone infected, correct? And then if they go and sting somebody and they try to get blood from somebody else, that's how they could transmit the virus, correct?
Exactly. So the virus doesn't spread person to person, and it doesn't spread animal to person. What happens is that the parasite of malaria is in someone and they get bit by a mosquito, and then that mosquito bites someone else, and that's how they transfer the parasite.
And I'm gonna not put politics on you. I'll be the one doing it here. But I want people to just think, and this is not, we don't have any evidence for what I'm about to say, but I just want people and politicians to expand their brains for a minute. What have we done in the last 5 years? We've opened up the gates to tens of millions of people from countries where malaria is still active. Areas near the Amazon rainforest, etc., wherever you have standing pools of fresh water, etc. We allow in not a few thousand, but tens of millions. Many people who could have come over infected, not even knowing it. They get bit by the mosquito. The mosquito then goes 100 feet, bites somebody else who's just in their neighborhood. Boom, they get infected. I'm not saying that's what happened. We have no clue. What I just said could be totally false, but that is a scenario that could happen. Am I wrong or am I right?
Well, Ken, the way I think about it as a physician, we've got 2 cases, so we don't have a trend. And the way I think about it is that most US cases to date are when a US citizen travels abroad and comes back and gets diagnosed with malaria, about 2,000 cases. We have many more cases of West Nile spread by mosquito in the United States, far more than these 2 cases of malaria. So I put it in that type of context myself. And a couple other points. We need mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are in the food chain that provide food for fish and other animals. Mosquitoes provide transfer of pollen, which is important for plant growth. With warming environments and opportunity to do better care around water that's stagnant, we can control the population and keep things in balance. So those are just the common things that I'd have people think about.
Well, and very valid, and I appreciate you clarifying. Doctor, I just want to go for a second and talk again about health tracks and how brilliant the idea is. You have your lab at the airport, right? So when people, when labs around the country collect blood samples and send them in, the reason why you're able to turn around the results so fast is literally what? The test kit comes off the plane, goes right there to the lab, gets tested, and the results get emailed out. Is that basically how it works?
It's a thing of beauty. Anywhere in the continental United States where someone presents in an ambulatory setting, that means urgent care, primary care, women's health, etc., who comes to the office and says, I don't feel well, I think I have an infection. You can use our testing, and then the test gets picked up about 4 everywhere in the United States, flown overnight. Our team is working at night, and they result it out the next morning. It's a great strategic partnership with UPS, also anchored in Louisville, Kentucky.
So smart. It's so smart. And I mean, I know in the past, having been tested, sometimes it would take 3 days before you get the results, and you're on pins and needles the whole time. Here, to be able to find out overnight for your own health, your doctor being able to treat you and figure out how to treat you properly. You don't want to give somebody antibiotics if they don't have a bacterial infection, etc. I mean, this is just such a tool in the toolbox that is so good. And you guys, how many years has Health Track's been around now?
HealthTrax is a 20-year-old company, but we're growing at 35% per year. So it's really an exciting time for us. And to your point, antibiotics are overprescribed in the outpatient setting. And by using our testing, you can get a very specific explanation of why you're feeling ill. And clinicians tell us that that specific information allows them to be more selective with antibiotic use. And we're very proud of that.
Very good. And just to steer it back really quickly, because we talked about the malaria thing, the malaria issue. people hear that now they're going to be concerned, of course. So what is your message to viewers who may be hearing the word malaria and they get anxious and they worry, my gosh, it's here, we're going to get infected? It's the chances are very slim, right? So please let folks know how they could prevent getting infected and how the chances are not very high.
The chances are not very high. So in general, what I would do at your home is, if you're going outside, use spray that prevents mosquitoes from biting you. If you're going to be outside for a while and there are mosquitoes there, put up some netting. And then if you have still water sitting around your property, get rid of it. Doing those things should keep you in really good shape.
Excellent. And what's your website for Health Tracks? And it's spelled for everybody. It's Health Track RX, RX as in prescription. Give everybody your website, please.
www.healthtrackrx.com.
Excellent. What a great company. Dr. Steve Goldberg, Chief Medical Officer at Health Tracks, Health Track RX. For all of you running urgent cares and doctors' offices around the country, check it out. If you haven't heard of it yet, you should have. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and for helping advance healthcare in a very positive way in this country. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, Ken. Have a great day.
You as well. 8 o'clock right now. When we come back, we'll take calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back. A very good morning to 8 a.m. right now, Thursday, August 21st, 2025. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Hurricane Erin is churning up dangerous rip currents along the East Coast. We take a live look at Jenkinson's in Point Pleasant, where the water is really rough right now. The waves have definitely increased, and this is something you want to stay away from. Not that you'd want to go to the beach on a day like this, but if you're a surfer and you think, oh, this is a great time to surf, no, this is a very dangerous time to go in that water. Stay out. Do we have the Ortley Beach? Just curious, Pam. We can go to it if you do have it. And if you don't, that's oh, this is it. Pam surprises me always in a positive way. Ortley Beach. Look at that. Now, where that fence is, for those of you who know Ortley Beach, you know that normally the water is nowhere near that fence. But this gives you an idea, 8 to 12-foot waves. This gives you an idea of how rough the seas are to come all the way up to the fence. That is significantly high water. So you have to really stay away from there. South of Point Pleasant, the currents are prompting swimming bans in, for instance, the Wildwoods. The storm not making landfall, fortunately, still driving those huge waves and strong swells. Lots of wind, too, causing treacherous conditions. In Avalon, northeasterly winds close the road to Townsend's Inlet Bridge. And Atlantic City is facing massive beach erosion for all of their sands there up and down the beach, and minor flooding concerns as well. Officials are urging beachgoers to stay out of the water for safety. Weather time now, light rain this morning for much of New Jersey, then cloudy today, highs mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the detailed Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Quite a bit of wind as well out of the east and then developing from the north and east by the end of the day. That's prompting some of those showers right now down the shore. And of course, the rough seas just offshore, even some of that light rain coming down over toward Stafford Township in Monmouth and Ocean County, all the way up toward Middlesex and even sections of, that's even southern portions of Union County, has the coastal flood warning for all of the water coming up above high tide, which is normally dry ground. That's through Saturday, so a pretty consistent northeasterly breeze throughout the day, allowing those water levels to rise into this afternoon, even beyond high tide. Temperatures right now holding in the upper 60s and low 70s, so there's certainly that influence from the water and the wind, making it feel much cooler than this time yesterday, drier up to the north, a little bit more humid down along the coast this morning. But there is that cool feel, especially as that outer band works its way just offshore. That is the edge of Erin. And with those 40-mile-per-hour gusts today toward LBI, it stays windy all through this afternoon, 42-mile-per-hour gusts by 2 o'clock this afternoon. The wind blowing primarily from the north and northeast, and then from the north, by this evening, and that's all due to the high pressure that comes in tomorrow and quickly clears us out, bringing back lots of clear sky, drier weather, lighter winds, because Erin pulls away very quickly tonight. So it's a short-lived event, and I think those at the beaches are grateful that it only takes a few tide cycles to eventually clear out. So later on this evening, we're back to the clear sky, especially by tomorrow. Chilly up north, 51 degrees in Morristown. That'll feel refreshingly cool, even 60 at the coast with that northerly breeze. But temperatures tomorrow warm under mostly sunny skies, back up into the low 80s. So it's nice and dry for your Friday. Still going to see, however, some very rough surf at the beaches. That likely won't diminish until we get to Saturday afternoon. So I think tomorrow beaches will still be closed for swimming, even though it'll be beautiful to sit out on the sand. But you'll still be looking at some pretty large waves even into Saturday morning. I think Saturday afternoon we'll start to see the conditions improve. And then by Sunday, have some clouds around, maybe a few showers. It's not going to be the brightest of days, but still warm as temperatures climb into the upper 80s, even approaching 90 degrees with a touch more humidity by the end of the weekend. Overall, it's a pretty big looking storm as the wind field expanding, the clouds expanding, but again, the storm pulling away very quickly, even as it maintains its category 2 hurricane strength as it transitions to extratropical over the upcoming weekend. So it was a long duration storm. We were watching it from this time last week explode from a tropical storm to a Cat 5 in just over 24 hours. And now we watch it dissipate as our weather turns brighter for this weekend. Ken, looking to start tomorrow nice and sunny and staying that way through Saturday.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate you, sir, as always. It is 59 degrees at 8:05. Taking a look at traffic in the area. We have a crash reported now and an overturned vehicle on the Turnpike Western Spur northbound, the northbound entrance ramp by interchange 16W, which is Route 3 in East Rutherford. We'll get you a camera shot in just a minute for that. All lanes are blocked right now. This is ugly. So this is causing a lot of traffic with all lanes blocked, traffic getting by only on the right shoulder. So you have a combination of the rain, morning rush. This is the epicenter, 8 a.m., the epicenter of morning rush, and the convergence of two major roadways, the Jersey Turnpike and Route 3 on your way to the Lincoln Tunnel. It's a mess. It's a mess. That's going to cost you about an hour, I think, when all is said and done. As a result, by the way, we'll show you another camera shot. The approach 139 by the Jersey Turnpike going over to the Holland Tunnel is now bumper to bumper because people are trying to avoid it. Things are going to get ugly very, very fast throughout the area, folks. Just telling you. We have a disabled bus on the Garden State Parkway, northbound, north of the Garden State. Let's see, this is the Judy Bloom service area in Wall. All lanes are open, but that's causing some delays as people brake check. We have a crash on the Turnpike inner roadway, northbound, north of interchange 9, Route 18 in Edison with the right shoulder blocked. Debris on the Garden State northbound, south of exit 98, Route 138 in Wall with the left lane blocked. And again, our Hudson River. In fact, let's see if we can take this live. Pam, if you go to the New Jersey Turnpike Hudson County Extension Tour, New Jersey Turnpike Hudson County Extension Tour, New Jersey 139 East at the New Jersey Turnpike. So if you could pull that up, and you tell me in my ear if you want me to repeat that. The New Jersey 139 East at New Jersey Turnpike camera. I want everybody to see what this is looking like. This is the Holland Tunnel approach. Yep, okay. So this is New Jersey Turnpike, Hudson County Extension Tour, New Jersey 139 East at New Jersey Turnpike. And I'll let you, I know it takes a second to pull that up, but we need to show everybody what this looks like. It is stopped. And that is going to the Holland Tunnel. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. We're going to do it old school, kiddo. Watch that. Listen, it's old school, but it works. Look at that. So these folks over here, over there, they are trying to get to the Holland Tunnel, and they're not doing very well right now. It is absolutely stopped, as you saw. So that is what's going on, because the folks who would normally be going to the Lincoln Tunnel right now, in fact, let's see if I could bring that up. Folks going to the Lincoln Tunnel right now also can't go anywhere because they have bumper to bumper traffic. So this is actually in fact, Pam, if you could find it while I'm talking, the New Jersey Turnpike, which is going to be over by 16W. Pull up the New Jersey Turnpike by 16W. Sorry, folks, bear with us as we do this live on air. This is live. This is the difference between the broadcast stations and us. We have the ability to do this live. but I want you to see this. New Jersey Turnpike by 16W. I want you to see what this looks like. Okay, I'll bring it up old school if we can. That's the one. Yes. Now you see the breakdown right there. That's the local road. What that's causing though is a kind of. I'll bring it up on mine, Pam. It's causing a kind of a staggered mess getting onto. Oh, of course. Now the camera I want to show you is now out. Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but we'll go with that. So that right there is going on as you're trying to get to the Lincoln Tunnel via 495. So now you have that mess coming from the turnpike. And right behind that is where you have the backups, and it's going about 2 miles right now. So bottom line is give yourselves a lot of extra travel time, no matter where you're headed this morning. And I won't even show you the GWB. The upper level is now bumper to bumper because all the trucks can only go there. They can't take the lower level, and the lower level is moving about 15 to 20 minutes in. Upper level's taking you about, there we go, thank you. Upper level, that's going to cost you about 40 minutes to get into Manhattan right now. 8:09 is our time. Democratic gubernatorial candidate Mikey Sherrill announced her day one state of emergency on utility cost proposal in Kenilworth. On New Jersey's Izzy Conklin tells us what the candidate is planning to bring down energy costs.
Our utility bills have gone up by 20% this summer. New Jerseyans are hurting, and I hear it from families all across the state.
Democratic gubernatorial candidate Mikey Sherrill announced her plan for energy affordability in New Jersey.
So on day one, I'm going to declare a state of emergency on utility costs. What that means for New Jerseyans and how I'm going to lower costs immediately is freezing utility rates on day one. When I take office, the average New Jersey family won't see an increase in utility rates for an entire year. I'll massively expand cheaper, cleaner power generation and building an energy arsenal in our state. We're going to cut through red tape and eliminate permitting delays to get that done right now. It means immediately breaking new ground on solar and battery storage projects, expanding capacity at our existing nuclear power plants, and streamlining the modernization of existing natural gas plants to make them cleaner and more efficient. I'll demand a new level of transparency from our utility companies, JCP&L, PSE&G, Atlantic City Electric, and Rockland Electric, to prevent collusion and price gouging. And I'll instruct my Attorney General to take on our grid operator, PJM, and Donald Trump to court to force them to end their mismanagement and get new power added to the grid.
She spoke in Kenilworth in front of the home of Herb and Mary Mitchitts. The couple has lived in the same house for over 50 years. They live on a fixed income and say, like many other New Jersey residents, the cost of utilities is too high.
Everybody has seen costs rise. Utility bills are going up, taxes are going up, groceries are going up. But most of all, I think the utilities are really putting a dent in our budget. Mikey knows what we all know. Utility costs are out of control. My family and others can't wait until changes occur. New Jersey's our home. I retired here, Mary's retired, and we love this state. Mikey will sure help make New Jersey as affordable for my family and for others in this state.
IBEW Local 164 and Mayor of Park Ridge, Keith Mishagna, said his town is expecting a 30% increase in transmission costs.
Both my members of my union and my residents, they're in crisis now. Wages are not staying up with this problem. This new arsenal in our state will bring down bills and help working families make ends meet. More power generation means more good-paying union jobs as well, and more families with a pathway to the middle class.
So we have an energy crisis on our hands. In times of crisis, I learned in the Navy, you have to lead, follow, or get out of the way. I'm going to lead. Jack is going to follow whatever Trump tells him to do, even if that means higher costs for New Jersey families. He's going to run away and let Jack call the shots. So we have no time to waste, and on day one, I'm going to get right to work.
For On New Jersey, I'm Izzy Conklin.
8:13 is our time. Just a reminder to people that the reason why we have the energy crisis we have in New Jersey, because it's not a worldwide energy crisis. It's not even a national energy crisis. It is only in New Jersey. Does that make anybody scratch their heads and say, gee, what's it about New Jersey? It's because the Democrat leadership, you have Democrats running the assembly, Democrats running the damn Senate, Democrat governor, Democrat Supreme Court, and Democrats running every major city in the state of New Jersey. Every one, with no exception. The Democrats closed 5 fossil fuel plants and 1 nuclear power plant in the last 5 years in the state of New Jersey. Okay? That resulted in a shortage of energy because they never built the so-called green energy plants that they set aside billions of your tax dollars to build. They never did it. As a result, we now have a massive shortage of energy, and we're buying energy from neighboring states at an accelerated rate and high cost, which is why your rate went up 20% last year, 20% this year, and it's going to go up 20% next year, no matter who's the governor. And that is because of the Democrats. Mikey Sherrill so disingenuously sitting there, standing, where's Governor Murphy at your side, huh, Mikey? It's because you have the issue that your party caused. It's just beyond me. Beyond me. In the meantime, President Trump says that he will sign an executive order to end mail-in ballots, claiming that it undermines election integrity. GOP gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli is countering Trump, urging Republicans to trust the state's secure mail-in system. So once again, Jack Ciattarelli, being a wishy-washy Republican, which is what he was by Mr. Spadia, he was accused of being, and he's demonstrating it once again. He is not a pro-Trump guy. Anyone who thinks he's a hardcore pro-Trump guy, nope. And if you're going to be wishy-washy, then people might as well vote for Mikey Sherrill. Sorry, Jack. At a 2024 TNEC event, Ciattarelli defended the process, advocating for stronger ID checks, but encouraging voters to use mail-in ballots confidently. About 800,000 New Jerseyans voted by mail in 2024, something the Democrats love because suddenly they find a Volkswagen full of ballots in the back of a street, an alley, as never mind. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. New Jersey, it is what it is. And if you keep voting the same way, things will never, ever, ever change. Our time is 8:16 right now, and we have a lot coming up. In fact, in just a few minutes, she is fighting for stronger online protections through the Kids Online Safety Act. In just a minute, we will speak with Esme, and we'll find out about this very, very important national act to keep kids safe online. Light rain this morning, then cloudy today. Highs today, mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with your full Garden State forecast, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. We're back in 30. And welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. It's 8:17, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Light rain this morning, cloudy today, highs mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Ken. A very windy day, a very rough day at the beaches, but we'll see an improvement as soon as tomorrow. With all the clouds and showers that are around, of course, there's the rough surf, and that's prompting some higher than average tides, coastal flood warnings up and down the New Jersey coast. And with that easterly breeze, pretty persistent today. The worst of the storm stays offshore, but those waves coming back at us make for some really rough seas. You see all of these showers that are starting to dissipate, so we'll see some drier conditions, I think, develop through this afternoon, but an easterly breeze just tends to bring on a little bit of that wet weather around, and with some drizzle even through the end of the day. But predominantly, it's a cloudy finish, with temperatures starting off in the 60s, climbing only to the low 70s, a much cooler feel even where those showers are occurring. a little bit of reduced visibility now, even toward Tom's River, 2-mile visibility for you, and same for you up in northern New Jersey. As those clouds work their way east, that's where the storm is pulling away. You can see it was a close call, but as it moves away to the north and east with all of its gustiest of the winds, the Cat 2 strength storm moving out, we'll see the worst of the waves today, and then an improvement to conditions tomorrow as winds will be lighter. Air is drier. Dew points are very low tomorrow, feeling like fall yet again in the morning, with temperatures down in the 50s, and then ultimately bringing back sunshine through the rest of the day into the rest of the weekend. I think Sunday could have a few clouds around, maybe a sprinkle into Monday, but it's predominantly dry going into Tuesday and Wednesday, and pleasant weather on tap as well throughout the middle of the week, with another round of clear sky coming in throughout next week. So again, as those storm tracks all take the system quickly out to sea, it's moving away nice and fast, and that'll speed up our clearing into the weekend, especially for tomorrow and Saturday. 87 as the high Saturday, 83 on Sunday with some extra clouds. We'll tell you more about the rest of the weekend weather into next week with the 7-day forecast. Ken, it's coming up.
All right, Mike, thank you so much, sir. At 8:19, in terms of traffic, we have a vehicle fire now to report on the New Jersey Turnpike. This is on the eastern spur, northbound, south of interchange 15E, which is 1 and 9 in Newark, causing that. So as people in those vehicles approach this, again, this car fire or vehicle fire, we don't know that it's a car. It could be an SUV or a truck for all we know. But this is northbound, south of interchange 15E, 1 and 9 in Newark. 2 left lanes and the shoulder are blocked, and that is causing about 2 miles of delays getting into it. We also have a crash and an overturned vehicle on the Turnpike Western Spur northbound entrance ramp by interchange 16W, which is Route 3 in East Rutherford. We showed you the flashing lights a little while ago. That's still ongoing. Disabled bus now in the Garden State Parkway northbound. That's by the Judy Bloom service area. All lanes are open. It's just causing kind of a slowdown through the service area, and a crash now reported on the Turnpike in a roadway northbound north of interchange 9, which is Route 18 in Edison, with the right shoulder blocked, and back to the Garden State debris on the GSP northbound south of exit 98, Route 138 in Wall, with the left lane blocked. Hudson River crossings right now. It's about 30 minutes at the Lincoln because of some earlier issues. We have 15 at the Holland Tunnel. People actually on 139. That 139 approach to the Holland is a mess. It's taking it closer to 30 there. GWB upper and lower levels. The upper level is not the way to go, as you can see on the right side, because of all the trucks mounding on. Lower level will save you about 10 minutes, so it's about 20 minutes on the lower level to get across and 40 on the upper. 8:21 is our time. And we are joined now by Esme Sarbu, who is a young advocate fighting for stronger online protections through the Kids Online Safety Act, driven by her own experience watching kids, including her 13-year-old brother, facing harm online. With no major federal update since the 1998 COPA law, when computers were in their infancy, Esme's campaign underscores the urgency of modernizing internet safety for children and teens. She's even launched a nationwide platform called Esme for COSA, that's KOSA.org, esmeforcosa.org, to help young people share their stories and ensure that their voices are heard in Washington and beyond. Esme Sarbu, good morning and welcome to the show.
Hi, Ken. Good morning. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to do this.
You bet. And it's good. Thank you for coming on. You know, I'm a grumpy old man, and I appreciate you sat there. I saw you on the screen. You sat there as I was screaming 10 minutes ago, going crazy on my little issues. Thank you for being so patient. I appreciate you. And it's not every day that somebody your age gets to meet with Congress members and inspiring other people to become such a great advocate. You're such an advocate for children's online safety. How did you get involved in this?
Well, it first started when I found out that 13-year-olds are considered an adult on the internet, but my brother, he's 13, and he's not an adult. He acts like, no, he could never be an adult at that age.
I never knew that. So how is it they think 13-year-olds are adults? That's crazy.
Yeah, they treat them with the online information that only adults should know because they think 13-year-olds are old enough.
And you figured out, you were watching your brother's experience online. What happened when your brother was online?
Well, my brothers, one time, I have two brothers. The 13-year-old is named Ethan, and once he was on Discord because a 13-year-old gets treated like an adult. So he was on Discord and he thought he was talking to someone the same age, but he was actually talking to someone way older, like a man in his 40s or something.
That's creepy. That's really creepy. And any adult, any adult who's 18 or above, if you know that somebody's in their teens, politely say, by the way, I'm 45. You should really be talking to somebody your age. I think everyone, it should be mandatory, and we'll talk more about that because I know you're working on this. It should be mandatory that upfront everybody legitimately identify their age, where they are, et cetera, so that we all know if you're 18 and above, you should be dealing with people 18 and above. And if you're 17 and below, that's a different story. So how does this change the way you get online yourself? When you're online, are you suspicious of everybody you're talking to?
Yeah, definitely. My dad works in IT and he uses blocks like Northern Face, stuff like that. But like, still, I need to be safe while I'm online because things can still come through that.
Excellent. And explain what the Kids Online Safety Act, KOSA with a K, right? Kids,
Yeah.
KOSA, aims at achieving and why we really, really need this now.
Well, like I said earlier, I don't think my brother should be able to make adult decisions online. He still like fights with my older brother who's 16. Like they play fight still, but I think we should get this law passed to the White House because this is really important to keep young kids safe, like anyone under 17.
What's the reaction been from Congress members or from the White House? Have you heard from folks lately? Have they said that they are supporting this?
Well, I met with Congressman Rob Menendez and Congressman Tom Keene Jr., and next week I'm meeting with Congressman Drew next weekend in Washington.
And so this is great because you got all the sides covered. You have Menendez, who's an awfully nice guy. He's a Democrat. Drew, who was a Democrat, became a Republican, and Kane, who is a Republican. And so you literally you're from the left to the right to the center. And something tells me that if President Trump heard you speaking, he would have no issue signing this. So I keep my fingers crossed. It's about safeguarding everybody on the internet, but specifically kids. I cannot believe that there has been no law about this since 1998. Guess what? Even I was young in 1998. That's a long time ago. When I worked for a company, Ermeng, in 1998, I'm trying to think. I worked for a radio station on Long Island. They had what's called a 286 computer. It was ancient. You would look at it and you would think it's something that you should use as a doorstop. So that's what online was. So the idea that that's the last time that I called you Erme, I meant to say Esme, excuse me. That's the last time we've had laws about this. That's ridiculous. So now what safeguards would platforms need to include? You mentioned one of the platforms already that your brother was on. What safeguards would the platforms need to include to keep younger people safe?
Well, it needs to include Discord, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, any of these like big medias or just any.
And what,
Also,
like, if you're younger and you go on, or if you're an adult and you come on, what would you like? What are you looking for them to do? Like, would they have to mandatorily show their age or something? How would that work? I'm curious myself.
well, I think that there should be like a block that you have to be like a certain like age to talk to people younger than 17.
I think you're right. I live part-time in the state of Florida. And in the state of Florida, there are adult websites, and we'll keep it at that. But they passed a law a year ago in just the state of Florida. Any website that only adults should be on, you have to go through this third-party organization first and verify your age. And I think something like that should be mandatory no matter what the website. Everyone should establish who they are and what their age is so that we're now open. That's transparent. Nobody lies about who they are and what their purpose is in that site.
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy that we don't have that yet. So, now you talked about the possibility. How about disabling like autoplay? Is there autoplay on the website that your brother was on?
I'm sorry, what's autoplay?
So autoplay apparently is a feature that allows you, the minute you log back on, you can get right back where you were in some of these sites. I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
into this
yeah.
yourself, but
That's
that would allow people back on that, shouldn't be potentially.
that's the app he was using. It
So,
had
there
that.
you go. And so tell us about now your website, esmeforcosa.org, and how children can use that website to share their stories of encounters they may have had.
So children who are harmed by the internet, or just any children, can put their story in, how they almost got addicted, or anything on the internet. And they can also sign the petition, and they can also contact their lawmakers about this. And it has a bunch of
Fantastic.
info on there already, like how to
And they could
contact
leave
them.
videos, right? They could actually
Yeah,
leave a video on your site. That's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. What advice do you also have maybe for parents out there who think, no, my kid's okay. My kid knows what they're doing. I think a lot of parents don't realize it's not that your kid is doing something wrong. It's that there are creepy adults who are stalking. So what advice would you have for moms and dads out there?
Well, I would give advice to just get a block or don't give your kid like a phone. Also,
Yeah.
this law is for everyone. It's not for Democrats, it's not for Republicans, but it's for
Yep.
everyone. It's a bipartisan law.
I'm glad you pointed that out. It is for everybody. And I think no matter where you stand, listen, we all care about our kids as adults. You should make sure that no matter where you stand politically, you back this. This is a fantastic idea. Well, I'm just curious, what age would you say, and how old are you, first off?
I'm 10.
Okay. So you're 10. What age do you think somebody should have a smartphone?
Well, I got my phone when I was 10. I got my phone for my birthday when I was 10 because I don't know, I just really wanted one. But I think people should get their phones at 10 to 11, maybe 12. But my friend still doesn't have a phone yet. And she's like the same, well, she's 11. And it's fine. I encourage not having a phone because people without the phone can't get addicted on the phone. They can't
Yeah.
find any of these creepy things. And she's like really smart. She gets straight A's, and yeah.
It's fantastic. I think that's great advice. I think that, and there are also apps that parents could put on those phones, right, that disable the kids from surfing certain places they shouldn't be. Listen,
Yeah.
there's plenty of time when you're older to look wherever you want on the web. But when you're younger, just have fun with your friends. There's no reason to be involved in that nonsense. And I'm so happy you're doing what you're doing. Please give your website again for everybody to check out.
esmeforcosa.org.
And that's ESME, right? Esme for COSA
Yep.
with a K, KOSA,
Yeah.
esmeforcosa.org. She is fighting for stronger online protections through the Kids Online Safety Act, or COSA. Esme Sarbu, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for doing what you do. I wish you only the best, and come back again in the future, please.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Have a great day. And we should
You
even
too.
mention, there are a lot of schools now when the kids, if any kids who have phones, they got to check in their phone at the school door. It's happening in almost every state now. It started in this area in California. Now it's basically every state. Kids come in, they got to give their phone in. And guess what? Teachers who get interviewed are all saying that their students are finally paying attention. They're answering questions. They're interacting. Thank you. And thank you for what a great parenting. Thank you to Mr. Sar and Mrs. Sarbu. Thank you for great parenting. What a brilliant young lady, and with a good heart, so smart. All right. Oh, great. Okay, perfect. Should we go in right now? I mean, we'll open the show. Let's just cut past the bottom of the hour because it's 8:32, and let's just talk about the mess that we have on the roadways. And by the way, in a moment, we're also going to talk about the recent water main break and how the Passaic Valley Water Commission has been working overtime to fix what happened in Patterson. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment, especially on a rainy day like this. Who needs water main break issues? 8:33 right now, and this is on New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Our temperature 60 degrees, kind of a dank day. Of course, Hurricane Erin is churning up dangerous rip currents along the East Coast. We take a live look, if we can, at Jenkinson's. This is in Point Pleasant. The water has been really coming up in Jenkinson's and it's just churning up the sand there, making for an absolute mess. Thankfully, we don't have a beach day here. So, but yes, take a look. That's a live look at the beach cam at Jenkinson's. You can see what an absolute ugly situation they have right there. Feel bad for all the businesses at the pier because Jenkinson's is such a pretty place. It's so fun, but nonetheless, that's what they're dealing with there. And we should mention that Ortley Beach, a little bit south of that point, Ortley Beach had water coming right up to the fence. There it is. And that is much higher. If you've been there, you know that it normally doesn't get anywhere near that high, even at high tide. So that is an example of what this hurricane is doing. Even though it's not hitting us, this is what happens. You get the high winds and you get the waves, and that can cause a lot of damage to the shoreline. South of Point Pleasant, the currents are prompting swimming bans in Wildwood. The storm not making landfall, driving up to 12-foot waves and strong swells. Treacherous conditions for us, and an Avalon northeasterly winds close the road to Townsend's Inlet Bridge, Atlantic City facing beach erosion and minor flooding, and officials urging beachgoers to stay out of the water for safety. We're going to have light rain this morning, cloudy today, highs mid-70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the detailed Garden State forecast for us. Lots of wind there, huh, Mike?
Lots of wind, yes, and lots of cloud cover. It's a very cool feel outside this morning, kind of the antithesis of a beach day. And you can already see now as the sun rising, those striations there as they kind of lead toward the storm center offshore. So this high resolution satellite of the visible spectrum, have to wait for the sun to rise fully to use this one, shows all of those clouds now coming in as a result of the outer bands there of Erin. And that will give us those gray skies all throughout this afternoon. A very gusty breeze too. Just a little bit of wet weather today, not a whole lot of sunshine, and predominantly a cool finish. Temperatures only hover in the low 70s throughout the afternoon. So with the highest of the clouds offshore, it'll still be gray across New Jersey today. The red color shows the high risk of rip currents. There's high surf advisories with the forecast of anywhere from 9 to 12 feet. And look at high tide this afternoon or this evening at 7:04 in Atlantic City, 8:12 in Cape May, and 7:21 in Sandy Hook. That will be the worst of the tidal flooding today, with those tides running well above average as the storm churns offshore. So pushing a lot of wind in our direction and, of course, a lot of waves, especially into tomorrow. Now, the futurecast showing the storm quickly pulling away. By tomorrow morning, we're back to sunshine, and it stays clear all day tomorrow, bringing back a lovely finish to the week. Just have to make it through the clouds today. But again, as Erin takes that fast right turn, it'll clear out quickly. So tomorrow morning, we're back to sunshine, and it stays beautiful throughout the afternoon, even throughout the first part of our weekend into Saturday. The 7-day forecast has a lovely start with lots of sunshine, 87 as the high, 83 on Sunday with some extra clouds, so slightly cooler, but it's the dry air tomorrow that I think will feel very pleasant as we cool off down into the low 60s. Monday and Tuesday clears out quickly, so I think we have a nice dry start to the week, and then next week with the shore points looking very pleasant to finish this week, tomorrow and Saturday looking great. I still think it'll take some time for those waves to calm down. Might have to wait till Saturday afternoon to be allowed to go back in the water. But by Monday and Tuesday, with a little bit of cloud cover, we're back to sunshine into Wednesday of next week. So a nice dry start to next week with a clearing that'll take over and bring back a lovely feel, nice fall weather, just in time to wrap up unofficial summer, Ken, as we're just about 10 days away from Labor Day.
Yikes. And Mike, I'm going to keep you on 1 second because we talked about the potential of flooding because of the storm that we have right now, and also because you got the winds and whatnot. So right now we have a report in Egg Harbor Township. So that's by the water down southern New Jersey. We have US 40, Route 40 in both directions, east of Franklin Avenue, Route 608 in Egg Harbor Township. We have flooding there. So the right lane has to be closed because of the infiltration of the water there. So we've been talking about this. You had mentioned there was a possibility of that. Just want to make sure everybody knows, no matter where you're going today, what do they say? Turn around, don't drown. If you come into a
That's what they
roadway
say,
that you
yep.
don't know the depth, even if it's only that deep, you don't know. That's all it takes to take a car off, right? To take it off its control. So just don't drive into standing water. And if you can, stay inside today and enjoy looking out the window and stay away from the beach. Mike, thank you very much, sir, as always. Much appreciated. Right now, we're going to go to the director of emergency, or he's the coordinator for the Office of Emergency Management in Asbury Park, our good friend Garrett Jiberson, who is on the phone with us. Garrett, good morning to you. Thanks for coming on.
Good morning, Ken. How are you today?
I'm great. You're very busy, I know, I'm sure, and I appreciate you taking the time. What are the conditions there in Asbury Park this morning?
Well, I just left the boardwalk area. It is very windy. I would say we have winds are out of the northeast at 25 miles an hour with gusts up to 30. The surf is up, and we have a few branches around town that have fallen from our trees due to the wind closer to the ocean area. Other than that, things are so far so good. A few diehard runners on the boardwalk getting beat up by this northeast wind, but other than that, we are in good shape.
Are there any rules right now in effect in terms of people who want to get their toes in the water or surfers or anything like that? What are the rules in Asbury at this hour?
There is no swimming allowed at this time until further notice. Our beaches are
And
closed to
rightfully so.
swimmers.
And we have reports also of some beaches up and down the coast that have some pollution, right? Some runoff from, I don't know if that's the case in Asbury, but I know in some of the other communities down south, there's some runoff, sewage runoff that occurred because of all the rain. And so you don't want to be in the water, bottom line. And in Asbury, you can't. So just don't even bother. How about any flooding near the coast in the Asbury Park area?
So far, so good. We have no flooding. Our lakes are doing very well. The commissions have managed them very well, where they let some water out over the last few days, so it's handling surge and any rain that we have been getting. So far, so good as far as flooding.
All right. And how about in the event that things get uglier today, is there a shelter for anybody in case they need it?
We will, if we have to, we will open a reception and care shelter, but I don't foresee that happening. So my fingers are crossed. Let's get through tonight, and hopefully tomorrow things will start to improve.
The good news is meteorologist Mike Favetta says we should have a beautiful sunny day tomorrow. As often happens when you get a storm, even a storm out to sea pulls away all the humidity in the clouds and leaves behind some good weather. The coordinator for the Office of Emergency Management for Asbury Park, New Jersey, our friend Garrett Jiberson. Thank you so much for taking time from your busy day. Appreciate you, sir.
Anytime, Ken. Stay happy and healthy, and stay dry.
You too. Thank you so much. Asbury Park, you have nothing to worry about. We know Garrett a lot of years, and the folks there are very good. 841, and last week's major water main break left thousands of residents in the communities of Patterson, Prospect Park, Haledon, and North Haledon without water. They couldn't shower, they couldn't flush toilets. It was a mess. Now crews have made significant progress and services being restored across the region. Joining us this morning is Jim Muller, who's the executive director of the Passaic Valley Water Commission, to give us an update on the situation, walk us through what caused the break, and share how the community can stay informed moving forward. Good morning to you, Jim. Thank you for being patient. I know you've been waiting there for like 10 minutes to come on because we have the situation we have today, but thank you.
Understood. Good morning, everyone.
And good morning.
We had a major water main break it started on August 8th, and what we initially thought was one major pipeline, a 30-inch pipeline, turned out to be two. So it was a 30-inch and a 24-inch pipeline. We detected that leak right outside of Hinchcliffe Stadium the morning of August 8th. Our initial approach and the plans we had showed the pipe was about 14 to 16 feet deep, and we began to try to isolate the 30-inch main that we thought was broken and dig down. It was extremely problematic to close that 30-inch main. It's 140 years old, and some of the valves are 115, 120 years old. Many valves did work, but we had a problem. It was very much a complex situation to isolate the leak, and then as we were attempting that isolation a few days in, we realized the pipes were interconnected in a way that was not shown on our plan. So both pipelines were impacted, and that's why so many people were either without water or with extremely low water pressure. And the pipe was much deeper. We dug down to 20 feet, still could not locate the pipe or the pipes, and I had to abandon. I stopped the job. I had to abandon that excavation, and we had to pivot to a new plan. which became place 300 feet of new 30-inch pipe and place 300 feet of new 24-inch pipe. And we had to excavate and find those pipes. Again, the plans were very inaccurate. So we put the 30-inch back in service this past Sunday with 300 feet of new 30-inch pipe. And we put the 24-inch back in service yesterday afternoon at 4:30. In the interim, last Thursday, I actually managed to isolate the 24. It wasn't me, my contractors, my staff managed to isolate the 24-inch and redirect flow to areas that weren't getting any water or low pressure. And that really helped, move water to where it wasn't. So last Thursday, we began to recover. Sunday night, we put the 30-inch back in service, which certainly helped. And then yesterday, we were back into normal operations from a pipeline situation. We are still in a boil water for about half of Patterson, Prospect Park, and Haledon and North Haledon are also in a boil water. We are commencing hydrant flushing today. That's a prerequisite before you can lift the boil water. You got to flush out the old stale water that had the boil water advisory and move clean water in, and that's what we're starting this morning. That does take a long time, and we have about 2,000 hydrants to flush. We're going to be working 24/7, but it's still anticipated to take up to 12 days for us to flush out our areas and then test for bacteria. Assuming that comes back negative, we would then lift the boil water. So unfortunately, we'll be in a boil water for the next over 2 weeks.
Yeah, I gotta just step in there just to repeat some of the things that you said so gracefully and quickly. I want people to think about 300 feet long of 20-foot deep 30-inch pipe. How the hell do you even transport that much pipe into the Hinchcliffe Stadium area, which is a densely populated area? Where do you go to buy pipe? I can't even fathom what kind of an effort. That 300 feet is enormous. Is that one of the biggest projects you've ever had to do in such a short time?
Yes, this is one of the worst. Quite a few of my staff have been here over 40 years, and they were the people working with me to try to isolate this. They're experts in what they do. They know the system like the back of their hands, and each one of them said they've never seen. These are like major arteries. The best analogy is like a heart. These are major arteries that were severed, and that's why it was such an impact, a severe impact in terms of no water or low water. The pipe, you're bringing up a very good point. So it's 300 feet of 30 and 300 feet of 24. So it's 600 feet total combined for the two. And we were calling every utility. We were calling every supplier in the state of New Jersey, New York City, New York, Pennsylvania, and nobody had the pipe on hand that we needed at the length. They might have had one length is like 20 feet. People might have had one or two lengths. They did not have 15, 16, 18 lengths that we needed of each. So we ended up finally connecting with a supplier in Alabama, and they drove the pipe up from Alabama over the course of a day. They worked in tandem. They had two crews together to continuously drive those pipes, and they began to be delivered last Thursday, and then Friday the final delivery was made. And we were, as soon as they got there, we started placing pipe as soon as we could. We also needed to clear the entire wooded area. It's a steep hill too. It's a 45-degree angle, and Hinchcliffe Stadium is about 40 feet above us. They have a large retaining wall, so it was a lot of. That's why I had to pause the site earlier in the week, which we didn't anticipate having to do because it was just a safety issue. So very complex. Our plans, obviously, we use GIS. We've GPSed all the new pipe we've put in. It's in electronic format. We can access that on tablets now. The older plans, they just weren't. Our paper plans weren't proved to not be accurate.
If I could jump in, Jim, just so that people know, because of a time issue here, just so that people know, just to cut to the quick. The bottom line is you replaced it the right way. You didn't Jimmy rig a job. You made it so that for the next 200 years, you got a system that's electronic. You could monitor. You'll know where breaks are, etc. But the bottom line is this is why it took so long and why it was so hard. Here's my question. Where is the responsibility of the communities versus the Passaic Valley Water Commission? Are you guys a semi-autonomous, or are you private? Are you part of the government? How does it work? 'Cause I'm confused about that.
Yeah, so we're owned by, we have three owner cities, Patterson, Passaic, and Clifton. and each of those owner cities. So the oversight is a board of commissioners that I report to, and they're appointed by the mayors. Clifton's the city council actually that does the appointments, and Mayor Say and Mayor Laura in Patterson and Passaic appoint their commissioners. So there's 7 commissioners as a board of commissioners. The commission itself was an act of state legislation. I believe it was 1931 or 1930. So that it's enacted by state legislation as its own entity with the 3 owner cities. The beginnings of the company go all the way back to 1849 or 1850 with the Passaic Water Company, and basically in the mid 30s that they needed to condemn it, and that's why the owner cities kind of took it over. So it was very much a legal construct at the time, almost 100 years ago, where that's where the commission was born, out of that state-enabled legislation.
Amazing, amazing. And here's a question, though, and I know this is true of no matter who the governor is. It happens on the Republican side, the Democrat side, really doesn't make a difference. The tendency in politics is if it's not an emergency crisis right now, just put it off. Why do we have 140-year-old pipes? Was there never a plan by the folks up above? And I know you don't want to condemn the bosses, so I'm not going to ask you to do that. I would never do that. But is there? Let's put it this: how can I ask it gently? All of the politicians, Republican and Democrat, in the state of New Jersey, and specifically in this area, can we think now of a long-term plan to look at 140-year-old infrastructure? Because it's not going to last forever. Like, should there be a point like at 50 years that we evaluate and say, you know what, we need to rip up all these pipes and put in new pipes rather than waiting 140 years? That's all. I'm trying to I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. I'm trying to be as gentle as I can.
So the Board of Commissioners back in 2023 approved an $800 million capital program, which was the biggest capital program the company's ever undertaken. So we work very closely with them on that and have the plan. We are rolling out projects, the Levine Reservoir storage tanks to get rid of open air drinking water reservoirs. We've got a $40 million project that started in May for Levine to replace that with storage tanks. We've got a residuals handling job at $31 million that was awarded in July for our Little Falls treatment plant. And the pipes in the ground, we've got designs progressing to start replacing those, all part of this $800 million plan. The problem is the system is so vast. We still have PFAS regulations for treatment that we have to look at. We have to cover other reservoirs, not just Levine, New Street and Great Notch. And then the pipes, there's 650 miles. So it's not something you do in 5 years or 1 year. It's basically, we have to steadily, and we had fallen behind a little bit for PVWC in terms of pipe replacements. So there's this catch up notion of that's why it's such an injection of capital now, but over time you just have to keep at it. It's like slow and steady. You got to identify single points of failure. Obviously the larger mains, the arteries are super important, but still getting into the neighborhoods and addressing more localized issues. So we have multiple contracts we're looking at to try to handle both of those situations, where there's discrete projects for the larger work that might be $10 or $15 million per location. And then there's on call where we can get more into maybe replace 3 blocks in a local community because it's cast iron. There's the systemic discolored water issues, that kind of stuff. So hopefully some of that makes sense.
What I think
it's a lot, but
people, Jim, and not only because we're out of time with the show here, but you're amazing. Thank you for coming on. But people, I think they just turn on the faucet. They think they just take for granted water's going to be there and they forget what it takes. We're going back to Roman times, what it takes with aqueducts. Now we have pipes. The pipes are modern day aqueducts. That's what they are. And it doesn't just come from heaven. People like this man right here has to work very hard to design a system with the crews to get it going. Listen, God bless you. I know it must have been a nightmare for the last month for you. And thank you for getting stuff basically back in another couple of weeks before everyone can drink that water because it has to be flushed. But Jim Muller, please come back again. Let us know the progress. I know you're working very hard, and I know everybody just wants to know when they can get it all back. So we'll have you back on again, please. Jim Muller, Executive Director of the Passaic Valley Water Commission. Thankfully, they have you in charge of that. It sounds like you have a good bunch of crews there taking a lot of work to get this done. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Ken.
You bet, Jim. 8:53 right now. That's a big, I mean, who knew? Did you know it was this big of a project? That is enormous. Just the fact you can't even source the pipes. That's crazy how big a project that was. It is 61 degrees right now. We're going to have light rain this morning, cloudy today, highs mid 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns now with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning to you, Mike.
Good morning to you, Ken. And on that note, got the new drought update, and there are sections of northern New Jersey that are back in a moderate drought. We were kind of drought free for just over a month, and then we've had a very dry past 6 weeks. So we'll get to that in just a sec. As far as today is concerned, it's just cloudy and gray with the cooler breezes, and temperatures hold in the 70s. You'll notice the strongest of the winds at the shore, but there's the drought, that tan area going right from the Hudson River, from Hudson, Bergen counties, all the way back through northern Monmouth County, western Passaic, and even up through Sussex County. So with a significant rainfall deficit, I mean 24% of average in the last 30 days, that area of New Jersey has that 2 to 4 inch rainfall deficit. It even extends down towards central New Jersey, but central New Jersey has seen a little bit more of the heavier downpours over the last month or so. We're keeping an eye down toward the tropics as we wait for our next named system, likely become Fernand in the next few days. Turning back to Aaron, the focus is the large waves in the center of the storm. That'll throw back some big waves our way today. You've seen them up to 12 feet at the beaches. Well, it's still pretty high even tomorrow afternoon. So likely see even though it'll be sunny tomorrow at the beaches, likely see the swimming restrictions again. But I think they'll soften them and relax them by Saturday, as the wave heights will be much lower by then as the storm pulls away quickly out to the east in the Atlantic. And most of next week is nice and quiet. Cooler than average temperatures across New Jersey into the middle of, or rather the first week of September. And then I think we're slightly drier than average across western sections of the area. But New Jersey is right around average in terms of rainfall through the next 2 weeks. The 7-day forecast has a cooler period tomorrow morning, especially down in the 50s to start, 60s by the afternoon, and then warming quickly into the 80s by the end of the day. So a nice warm finish to the work week and a warm start to the weekend with dry weather. Sunday and Monday brings back that rain threat. Not a downpour or certainly a washout, but a few showers around with some clouds, and then we dry out again by Tuesday and Wednesday. Beaches, again, beautiful tomorrow, but unlikely allowed to go in the water since the swells will be pretty high still. Saturday, we'll see less waves at the beaches and plenty of sun, and then Sunday into Monday, bringing back very pleasant conditions, lows in the 80s going through, or highs in the low 80s going through Tuesday and Wednesday. Can you tell it's the end of the weekend? Running out of steam here. You need that weekend to
I
come
hear
in
you.
quick.
I know, and still, it's been a busy week, and I
Yes.
would say the tomorrow's a pool day. How about that? Just
Oh
hang out by the
yeah,
pool.
absolutely. Yep.
That's what we do. Hang out by the pool. It's time to break out the pina colada mix. I'm just saying, just a concept. Mike, have a wonderful weekend, sir. We'll
You too.
catch you on Monday. Thank you, and
See you
enjoy the
next week.
nice weather that you forecast. You got it. 8:56 right now, and Tris Pharma marked a major milestone, celebrating 25 years in business with a big bash in New Jersey that brought together employees, community, and the man who started it all, CEO Ketan Mehta, who began Tris in his basement, toasted the decades of teamwork, innovation, and dedication that have made the company what it is today. On New Jersey's Lisa Marie Falbo takes us to the party.
On New Jersey is here at the Palace at Somerset Park to celebrate Tris Pharma's milestone anniversary. With 25 years in business, Tris Pharma marked the milestone with a celebration to remember. CEO Ketan Mehta, who started the company in his basement, says tonight is about honoring the employees who made this success possible.
It is really all the people here make us really where we are. And thanks to the hard work, dedication, we are really able to grow and continue to really prosper.
With more than 600 guests in attendance, the pride of the Tris family was on full display.
It's very easy to get up every morning and work for a company like that.
They treat people like equally, everybody. So I love it.
Ketan, you have such a great company. I would always work for this one.
After a night of dining and dancing, the company is already looking ahead to the next 25 years.
I think our focus has been our R&D, the innovation. So we focus on the technology, and we have continued to develop using different products, opportunities.
As Tris Pharma looks to the future, tonight's celebration is a reminder that dedication, teamwork, and family are truly at the heart of success. For On New Jersey, I'm Lisa Marie Falbo.
It is unbelievable what a wonderful organization, what a great pharmaceutical company is. Among the things they have a focus on attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD medication, medications for addiction management, pain management, central nervous system disorders, and they're New Jersey based. God bless them. Really fantastic. It's 8:58, and that is on New Jersey Mornings for your Thursday. Light rain and clouds today, highs in the mid 70s. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, folks. Have a great day, and thanks for watching on New Jersey Mornings.